Folks, the new infrastructure deal could give the American people recurring monthly stimulus payments. President Biden is trying to garner more support for his massive infrastructure package. Now this is your fourth stimulus check update and daily news report. President Joe Biden will look to sell voters on the economic benefits of the $973 billion infrastructure package while in Wisconsin on Tuesday, hoping to boost the bipartisan agreement that is held together in large part by the promise of millions of new jobs.
To me, our principles must never be compromised, but compromise itself is not a dirty word. Consensus is not a weakness.
Joe Biden's promise of bipartisanship was a cornerstone of his presidential campaign, but it's also something he's touted for years.
In our White House, I was the only guy that actually thought there was a Congress. That didn't matter. You think I'm joking?
Joe Biden presented his message to Democratic donors. The agreement was a way for the United States to assert the principles of democracy. Biden stated, "This infrastructure bill signals to the world that we can function, we can deliver, and we can do significant things, and show that America is back." What are your thoughts so far on President Biden, everybody? Is he doing what it takes to help out the American people? Tell me what you think in the comments.
It's impossible. I still don't think it is, but because I believe that there's nothing we cannot do if we come together as a nation, Democrats and Republicans. And we're really divided on a whole range of things. But if you look back across our history, from the Transcontinental Railroad to the creation of the internet, you can see the truth in that idea.
White House officials issued a memo that highlights how the largest investment in transportation, water systems, and services in nearly a century would boost growth. The memo notes that the total package is 4 times the size of the infrastructure investment made a dozen years ago in response to the Great Recession. It also emphasizes in the analysis, suggesting that 90% of the jobs generated by the spending could go to workers without college degrees, a key shift as the majority of net jobs gains before the crisis went to college graduates. Potential economic gains were a shared incentive for the group of Democratic and Republican senators who agreed to the deal on Thursday. But the process briefly fell into disarray late last week, as Biden suggested the deal would be held up until he received a separate package for infrastructure jobs and as well as education.
In 2008, he said that he would not cut Social Security. We want the president to remember what he said and not go back on his word.
Jen Psaki said that the president is eager for both bills to be approved by Congress, and that the president is going to work his heart out to make it happen. Lawmakers are still asking for additional financial relief for those in need, whether through a one-time payment or multiple payments, citing broad support from the public and financial analysts. Others in Washington have argued that stimulus money should be sent out until the crisis is completely over. Since the American Rescue Plan became law in March, the White House has put forward 2 packages, the American Jobs Plan and the American Families Plan. The new scaled-back compromise of the bipartisan infrastructure deal, which the White House announced on June 24th, doesn't include anything related to human infrastructure. However, many Democrats want the new package to address childcare, improve wages, or job training. Some Democratic members of the House and Senate have thrown their weight behind a 4th stimulus check. In late March, a group of lawmakers asked Biden to include regular payments in his next stimulus package. On May 17th, several members of the House Ways and Means Committee made a similar request, remarking on increased poverty and spiraling debt among Americans. They noted that most people spent stimulus relief checks on monthly expenses of essentials like food and utilities. Still, as part of a broader economic stimulus strategy, the Biden administration could put additional cash in the pockets of Americans via the following scenarios. It would be great if the Biden administration makes the child tax credit raise permanent. Money from the expanded child tax credit is set to start in July, with monthly payments to lower income and middle income families with children. It would also be good if Congress passes a minimum wage. Some senators continue to look for ways to boost the federal minimum wage, which stands at $7.25 an hour. Thank you for watching, everybody. Until next time, have a great day and stay safe.
That was in this bipartisan infrastructure deal, but it feels like just having that discussion is getting the president the political win he needs even though it was pretty clumsy to roll out over the last couple of days.
So by the end of the year, what is actually signed into law in terms of infrastructure, in terms of total new spending?
Yeah, Kelly, you know what? It feels like 4 years ago, in June of the Trump administration, first year of the Trump administration, nobody thought he could get his tax reform through. We knew we had a very rocky 6-month period of going through the legislative process. And you remember that very well. You covered it excellent during that time. And I think we're facing a very similar situation here. There's going to be ups and downs. The process is not fully determined on the path that we are going to take on this. But ultimately, the Democrats are suggesting that they need $2 trillion of spending to stay competitive in the election, and they are going to use the tools available to get there. It's like a big Rubik's Cube right now. They're just trying to figure out how to get all those pieces to fit. That's an extraordinarily messy process. I think by the end of the year, they're probably going to get $1.5 to $2 trillion, and they're going to get tax increases. So the most important takeaway for investors is that the fiscal policy debate of the Biden agenda started last week, and the Democrats are moving.
Good-paying jobs. This deal will also put Americans to work replacing 100% of our nation's lead water pipes. You know, there's 400,000, well, I won't get into the numbers, I get a little carried away, but it's really dangerous. And every single American child, at home or in school, will soon be able to turn on that faucet and their moms and dads know that the water they're drinking is clean and safe. To give you an example of why that matters, just look at the city of Milwaukee. Milwaukee has more than 160,000 water service lines. More than 70,000 of them, nearly half, have lead service lines. By the way, it's not picking on Wisconsin, Gov. Every state's like this, but just to know what you're going to be doing for the state of Wisconsin here. You know, we know the exposure to lead in drinking water can trigger a number of serious problems. Even low levels of lead can cause behavioral and learning problems in children, impairing their growth. There are up to 10 million homes with lead pipe service lines and pipes. Children in up to 400,000 schools. 400,000 schools and child care facilities are at risk of exposure to lead. This deal contains the largest investment in clean drinking water and wastewater infrastructure in American history. This deal also provides something you're very familiar with in the island. Provides funding to get dangerous chemicals out of our water system, known as PFAs, or forever chemicals. This is a problem all across the country. And I know that you're feeling it right here in La Crosse County. Just this spring, the state had to provide free bottled water to thousands of people on French Island because they were worried about those chemicals in the groundwater, which were linked to cancer and other illnesses. We'll pay for